That's Greg Pane with the piano. Welcome, everyone. My name is Rena Keene. I'm one of the board members here, one of the co-founders of the Film Museum, along with Dorothy and many other people. Several are going to be here today. As you can imagine, well, first of all, this is a Niles production, so it's a little fast and loose. So, you know, we're going to have a little fun because she was a fun person. We played the movie because we thought that would be something she'd appreciate. And the Making of Broncho Billy is one of those films. It was actually filmed, the house was filmed right near Vallejo Mill. If you know Don Dewey, that was his grandfather's house. So Niles is a very homey place, and we have a lot of history, and we're going to talk about some of it today because Dorothy is part of that history. So one of the things we thought we'd do, besides the fact that we're going to have Sherlock Holmes, Louis L'Amour, science fiction, and Doctor Who quotes involved. So if you speak, we're going to ask you to draw one of them and read it before you make your comments because of the kinds of things that she appreciated. She was very involved with the science fiction community. She was very involved with Doctor Who and just about every PBS program and movies. And the list goes on and on. As you saw in the beautiful wagon wheel display, she was a pilot. She was a chemist. I mean, she was a gardener. She was so many things, a horsewoman. I mean, just mind-blowing to me. Not surprising. I've known her for 25 years, but still just quite an amazing lady. And we're all here today to appreciate her. And we know she's smiling at us. So what we thought we'd show right now is a little movie that was made to respect the 20 years that it took to get this museum going. And so we're going to show it to you, and you'll be able to see something that we've had online now for a few years, but you'll see a couple faces you recognize.
I would like also to thank the panel for coming up, and I hope that we can take this into the future with more of these. Now, before I get out of here, I would like to mention that it's my dream, and it's a dream of others, to steer a ship, if you will.
To have a museum in the local area that's dedicated to the film history of Niles and a place to show silent movies on a more regular basis.
The only way we're ever going to get the memorabilia and the artifacts and all the films that we can compile is to get a museum project. And so I know that's a very broad statement and a dream, but that's how it starts. So I hope you will support that concept.
It might serve as a museum as well as perhaps a place where the history of Niles could be presented, not just films, but the history of Niles plus films.
What you have here in Niles is what Hollywood has destroyed. I can come here today and I can look at that hotel and be told by our expert up here, Charlie Chaplin slept there in that window. Because the thing that's so fantastic about film is how simple it is. It's pictures that move and create magic that has touched all of us. If Lincoln had been shot here, or if Kennedy was shot in Dallas, would you want to be remembered for that? Chaplin was shot here. But it's a positive thing.
It is not altogether true that silents are not shown, but they are certainly not shown enough.
So here we are. All these years later, we have a building, we have a museum, we have more than 14,000 film prints. We have so many different things because of Dorothy's leadership. So now we'd like to play the slideshow. It's like I said, it's going to be a little bit back and forth. So we have a slideshow to show you that has been put together of photos. It's not one of those Lifetime from Whitmore. It's a mishmash. Like we said, it's Niles. It's okay. And so whatever it is, I haven't even seen it yet. We'll be playing it, and Greg will be playing along. Thank you. The way it was. 1996. Looks a little different now. That's Dorothy with the broom or the mop. And that's Bruce in his long underwear. Getting the award for the Cowboy Hall of Fame and Western Heritage Center, Broncho Billy's posthumous award. That's her relative. Her grandfather, the Heitz family, Heitz. They're from Colorado, the Heitz family of Colorado, her relatives. This is her high school graduation photo from Antioch High, 1963 class. This is the picture from when Morley Safer came to town and was just 60 Minutes. Nigel Driner, myself, David. This is Ben Burt, Oscar-winning sound effects gentleman. And over here, William Wellman Jr., actor and son of William Wellman, who directed the movie Wings. There we are with 60 Minutes. Morley next there. There's Anu Natarajan and Bruce. This is the 1912 reenactment for Broncho Billy coming to town. Diana Sarah Carey. We got to celebrate her 101st birthday here. Irene Vincent Perez and Larry Tellis, both have passed. Very instrumental in making this museum happen. There she is. And there's other photos that are along the edge there near the flowers that show you some of the things that she's done over the years. So what we're going to do is I have it broken up that we have certain people are going to be speaking, and then we are going to open it up. Well, actually, certain people are going to speak. Then we're going to show a video montage. It's going to take about 17 minutes or so because there's a song in there, specifically We Knew She Loved. And then we'll open it up to the floor for folks to be able to speak. So that's kind of how we're going. So the first people that I'd like to have come up and speak, David Keene, please come up. He is now the current president of the Niles Destiny Silent Film Museum.
Thank you for coming here today. Dorothy was the person who actually wrote up the articles of incorporation, submitted the paperwork to the state to form our nonprofit in 2001. 2 years after that, in 2003, my Broncho Billy book came out, and David Shepard arranged to get me an invitation to the Pordenone Silent Film Festival in Italy to do a presentation and Dorothy hadn't been to Italy before, and or the festival, and wanted to come along too. So David Shepard arranged that as well. David Shepard, as many of you might know, was a world-renowned film preservationist. And so the three of us went to Venice, and we stayed at a small hotel there. David had been there before and recommended the place. He especially liked their hot chocolate. And so that first breakfast there, whatever meal we had, and I don't remember, we all ordered hot chocolate. And the waitress brought in this teapot full of hot chocolate. And we all had it. I had 1 cup of hot chocolate. That was enough for me. And Dorothy and David matched cup for cup to finish it off. And then David asked the waitress to please give them another pot of hot chocolate. And during the meal, he and Dorothy finished that off. And after the meal was finished, David asked, please, another pot of hot chocolate. And I was wondering if they were going to have a 4th pot, but they cut it off at 3. And then we went off to, after a look around Venice, we went off to Pordenone, and Dorothy more or less shadowed David throughout the festival, and David introduced her to all the people he knew, which was practically everybody there. And that's really how she got introduced to the whole film community worldwide. After, I think, I'm not sure, but that may have been the point where Dorothy and David really connected up in a friendship, long-time friendship. And after they came back, and David would come up from Hat Creek or from Los Angeles to do presentations here, he would always stay at Dorothy's carriage house. Dorothy was a cat person. David was a dog person, and often brought Bitzer, one of his rescue dogs, to Niles to visit. As far as I know, there wasn't any trouble there between the cats and the dogs. But that was kind of emblematic of their relationship and the relationship that Dorothy had with a lot of people. And one of the things that means a lot to me.
Bruce Cates, board member emeritus, Broncho Billy, as you can see. You didn't bring your 6-shooter, which I think we're grateful for. I know you did. Bruce Cates.
Well, I was sitting back there. I had something prepared, and I thought, just the way things transpired over the years, so many different people came along, and one of the most impressionable and smart people that I ever met was Dorothy and her mom, Lillian, who was she's about that big, and as I remember, and the Silent Film Museum was part of the Niles Main Street Association in the beginning. And so we had a committee, and we were meeting, and all along we were talking about, because Main Street was being a little stingy with giving us the funds that we actually raised through our festivals that we threw, with the first one being in this room. And anyway, so we decided we wanted to get some property to kind of get some stability for establishing a museum. And so there's a little cottage over here that Sam lives in at the moment. And I accidentally had a meeting with the people that own the place and talked to them. I said, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get this cottage over for the museum? And things transpired, and and real estate agents got involved and all sorts of things. But we had a meeting because we were trying to figure out how to buy it. And that was a collective of people to come together and all pitch in and buy it as a collective. And we had this big party over there and everything was going on. And here comes Lillian and Dorothy. Lillian first. And Lily comes up to me. She goes, "We're going to buy it like that. And we'll give it to the museum." And I went, as a museum. And I went, wow, like, boom, this happened. So that's how I I met them before that because they were coming to the Star Rock board meetings and stuff. And it just impressed me so much of these two ladies that were, had the spirit of historic preservation in their hearts. And to me, that was the most important thing, is preserve the history of what this is all about, in this building especially, which is a gem and needs to be supported. So hopefully we can get some serious support coming up in this next few years here. I know it's difficult with current things as they are, but not impossible. So if anybody has any connections and ideas of how to get to that point where we can actually preserve this building and build the other building, that would be one of my dreams come true before I'm gone. Anyway, love you, Dorothy.
So my time with Dorothy, it was very interesting. The year 2000, I saw that there's this film festival around the corner at the local schoolhouse. And I thought, well, isn't that kind of quaint, little quirky, kind of interesting? And I live here now. So I went in there, and did not know at that time I was going to meet my future husband, but that's where he was. And I just thought it was the most amazing thing. Movies that were made around here, silent films. I mean, I did not grow up with those. I didn't. I had seen the Gold Rush on Channel 9 on a 13-inch black and white, which was fine since it was a black and white film, but you know what I'm saying. So I met Dorothy. I gave her my business card. I said, I'm really interested in being involved with this organization. And she said, okay. And I promptly never heard from her again. But that was typical because there's so many moving parts. The film festival, it was not the right time for me to do that. So I hear the film festival's coming up again the next year. I touch base, and yes, I do get involved with it. And I start getting involved with the group, because the group did start out as a committee from the Niles Main Street Association. And then they broke off into their own 501c3 organization. But then the idea was the bricks and mortar. And that's how we ended up with the cottage, which is great. But then this building became available, just this part. And we were able to rent it from Al Lopez and his mother. And his father had always wanted the place to turn back into a movie theater. And then within the year, we got access to the original lobby. And our landlord let us do something they never let us do, which is tear out walls and ceilings and such. Then we got access to the storefront over there and the storefront over there. They put it in the will. When Mrs. Lopez passed, this building became available to our organization, which is an amazing thing. And I'm telling you, that is a feat. Part of that happened, though, because Dorothy and Lillian and some other benefactors helped to pay rent. As you can imagine, we don't make a lot of money for our weekly film programs. And so there were times when you had to put a lot of skin in the game to keep us going. So we had an amazing landlord. We also had amazing people who helped make that happen. And Dorothy and Lillian were two of those people. And also one of those people was my mom, too. My mom ended up moving here around the same time that we started up this museum. And so Lillian and my mom's time here. So it was kind of interesting. Dorothy and I, daughters of very strong-minded mothers, very intelligent mothers, there was a lot of interesting interaction that we had. And when Lillian passed, I had offered, not necessarily to take it up, that I would preside over her memorial. And Dorothy said, that'd be great. And I thought, oh no, what did I sign up for? But I also felt it was quite the honor. And I felt like it's quite the honor to be involved with this event. It's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad to tell you how much Dorothy means to all of us, and we're all getting to share those stories. So I'm just really glad that Dorothy and Lillian are going to be remembered forever because of their involvement with this organization, let alone all the other wonderful things they did in their life, and there's plenty of them. But we're mainly probably a little Niles-centric, so, that's what we're going to talk about. So I'd like to have Karen Cates come up here, please, and say a few words. We're getting all the founders out of the way.
So I didn't really prepare a speech. I'm just going to speak from the heart, and hopefully I won't get too sentimental. Dorothy was, between Dorothy and David and Bruce, they were kind of the lifeblood of the organization in the beginning stages of the dream of the organization and of the museum. And I tagged along, thanks, for the whole time. I think I've been affiliated with the museum now for 28 years, just about. And so watching it grow, and the organization that we have here is a wonderful, wonderful group of people that Dorothy was the lifeblood and just the foundation of the group. And her and her mother, strong women from a group of strong women, her grandmother, her mother, and Dorothy were something to be reckoned with. They were a force of nature. They were intelligent. They were strong, and they had a vision and a dream. And I'm just really happy that I'm part of the organization and can help them. Sorry, I'm emotional. But yeah, here we are today. And it's been a wonderful ride, and we'll continue to be just that. And thank you, Dorothy.
So we'd like to have Bethany come up.
I'm going to start off by actually reading something that Stuart asked me to read. Many of you knew Dorothy for longer than the 7 years that we were together. Everything came together perfectly. Dorothy had back surgery the very same day that COVID appeared. I was her ticket home, being her, I'm so sorry. Being her caregiver when she was released from the hospital. We were meant for each other. We had similar views on politics and the environment, on recycling, and interest in the Southern Alameda County history, and so much more. We had loads of fun together along the way with our cat Smokey. Needless to say, we will all miss her greatly. I became friends with Dorothy just a few years ago, and was lucky enough to be trusted to help her organize some of her things. And in that way, I got to know her intimately. And I had a friend who always used to say, she judged everybody by a simple standard. Would I want this person on my wagon train? And I can say without a minute's hesitation that Dorothy is absolutely the person that I would want on my wagon train. She was gently tough. She was playfully serious, and she was whimsically practical. She had more interests and more passions than anybody I've ever met, and I just feel so lucky to have been part of her life. So thank you very much.
All right, well, we'll be getting to some of these quotes soon, but I thought I'd read a few off here. Now, she did love science fiction and fantasy, and she was involved with a science fiction basically a organization, or at least a loose group of people who really cared about that. Is there anybody here from that crowd, the science fiction crowd? Okay, good. So I thought I'd read a quote from, I literally looked up quotes, science fiction quotes. And so I've got a whole bunch of them, but one I thought was very good because when I first got to know her, she was dealing with breast cancer. She survived breast cancer. So there's some pictures of her wearing this big old hat, and she didn't have any hair. And I just thought, this is one tough lady. She wanted to be there. She wanted to be seen. There was no hiding what she was going through. And yet she wanted to be part of the group. And it just really touched me. So believe it or not, Mary Shelley said in Frankenstein, "Beware, for I am fearless and therefore powerful." I'd say that's a good one. Here's another one. From the third Doctor, Doctor Who. All know there's many doctors in Doctor Who. So it's important for me to indicate that it's the third Doctor. He said, "Courage isn't just a matter of not being frightened, It's being afraid and doing what you have to do anyway." And Louis L'Amour, who she was quite the fan of, says, "A good beginning makes a good end." And last one I'll leave you with from Sherlock Holmes, the blanched soldier, in case you need to know. "When you have eliminated all that is impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth." Somehow those all seem very appropriate for Dorothy. So now we have a video, several little videos and one longer one. Michael McNevin plays a song that she was a fan of. So it's going to go on for about 17 minutes, and then we'll come back to live in person.
Hello. So I met Dorothy a few years ago. She would let me stay at her place whenever I was in town, like I think she did for a number of other people. And she would invite me in to watch Sunday Silence with her and Stuart over some pizza or ice cream or chocolate crackers, whatever thing that she had. And we also went to Dow House together. I would sit by her at the theater during some of the films, have lunch with her, talk with her. I just remember really feeling comfortable around her, which I was very thankful for, and I am thankful for, because I was kind of a newbie in the community. So it's amazing that she is able to do that, and I've thought about her a lot while I've been away, and obviously now. And I miss her, and I'm just so thankful that I met her and that I've had Dorothy's influence in my life. So thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, Dorothy.
"20 years ago, I played for Broncho Billy at the Siskel Film Center on State Street, and Carol contacted the museum, and Dorothy invited us to come down to Broncho Billy, and she was good to us ever since, and we appreciated her and being invited. And here's a few pictures. Here's one from approximately 2010, probably, and here's another one taken outside the museum. And the last one here is from 2008. That's 2008.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nigel Driner, and I'd just like to take this moment to tell a little Dorothy story. It was really difficult for me to really come up with something to say because I've known Dorothy for about the last 10 years. I did my college internship with the Niles Museum and stayed with Dorothy through almost every one of those. Well, I stayed there when I did my internship, but then throughout the other years, I would always stay with Dorothy while I was in Niles. So I got a chance to really get to know her pretty well and over the years. So it was difficult for me to really come up with something to say about her so definite because there's just so many Dorothy stories and so many things that I would like to share, but the one story I will mention is we were watching a film in her living room one night, and I happened to ask her, what was the first silent film that you ever saw, and how did it hook you? Because those are always stories that I am interested in hearing. And she said that she was watching TV and flipping through the channels, and she came across the Thief of Baghdad that was being shown on, I think, PBS or something similar. And she goes, "Oh, I just stopped to see what it was about." And she goes, "Lo and behold, I watched the entire movie, and I didn't even really realize it until the film was over." And she said from that moment on, she knew that silent film was something that was interesting to her and special. So I often wonder, if she had not been searching through the dials that night and came across the Thief of Baghdad, would she have ever become involved in the museum or silent film preservation as a whole? And it's one of those moments where one little tiny twist like that could have sent her life in a completely different direction. A wonderful woman, a wonderful person that could never be replaced. But for my feelings on it is that she paved the way for us now to take the reins and to continue the things that she believed in, and the preservation aspect, and showing silent films to new audiences, and keeping the silent films in the stratosphere of people's perceptions and people's worldviews. So I'm stammering a little bit here because it's so difficult, because for me, it doesn't really even feel like Dorothy is gone, because I only really got to see her every year. So this next trip to Niles for me is going to be very different, because it's not 100% real for me yet. But I wish everyone the best at the museum. I will see you all soon. And the best thing we can do is to just continue Dorothy's legacy in what she loved most and cared about most, which was preserving these wonderful films and these stars and these everyone that comes to the museum. So thank you, Dorothy, for that, and we will all see you again really soon.
Hello, my name is Zach Sutherland. I am an employee here at the Niles S&A Silent Film Museum and have been since 2019. I've been with the museum since 2014, however. Dorothy Bradley was the second museum official that I ever met here, and she was the first person to ever give me an assignment. And just a few years later, she was a proponent in getting me hired here, for which I've been doing restoration work and work with digital video, I think much to her delight. I'm probably up on the mezzanine right now, conducting a live stream of this event. There's obviously, after so many years, much that I could say about Dorothy Bradley, but since we don't have all day, we need to keep these videos a little condensed. I'll try to do the best I can. We have seen one museum after another close in the past few decades. It was her insistence on how to use finances in this museum, and I'm talking about investing versus spending, that we are able to continue being as ambitious as we have always been. The reason we are able to be here is because of her constant selflessness in wanting this museum to live on. It is perhaps the greatest gift she ever gave this organization, its supporters, volunteers, and employees. It's also a testament to her leadership skills. I guess she was just kind of old-fashioned in that way. Dorothy was also old-fashioned, as many of you know, in some of the folksy phrasing she used to use. Often overwhelmed by the constant amount of work that lay in front of her as president of this museum during what was supposed to be her retirement, she would often use the phrase, Stop the world and let me catch up. What I would like to do is have a 10-second moment of silence, not terribly long, but 10 solid seconds, to symbolize stopping that world and letting Dorothy Bradley catch up. And we can start now. Thank you. Rest easy and in peace, Dorothy Bradley. Your work is done.
Hello, everybody. This is Michael McNevin talking. I cannot be there today. I have a show in Fairfax playing music, but I'm going to sing a song that I wrote for, really for the town, but mainly for the history of the silent films. But I want to talk about Dorothy for a minute first. Dorothy and I worked very close together for 6 or 7 years. We got the Niles Golden Spike program off the ground. It was an idea, but it hadn't been fleshed out or approved. And when I called the city to get the barricades to close Sullivan Underpass, they said, "Why?" And I said, "Because the passengers got to walk through there because it's the safest way to get there on foot." And they said, "What passengers?" And I said, the train passengers. And they said, "What trains?" So they didn't really know about it yet. And so we had to educate ourselves. We had to educate them on what we were going to try to do. It ended up being 12 volunteers a Sunday and then 4 days at night a week during the Train of Lights. A lot of work, a lot of joy. It was the weirdest job I ever got. I appreciate Dorothy having trust in me to do it. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have been able to. She was the organized one and really pushed the paper through for the CUP and all the permits and the ideas that we had. And I want to also mention that she was open-minded. You know, we would get up there in the upper office of the theater and, you know, do our things, our drudgery. But we would also have some laughs up there, and we would cook some ideas up, and several that were very, very important to the town, to me, and my crews. We created the Golden Spike Thank You Program, and that created a fund where we could hand out certificates worth $10, and we would give several. I would give several of them to my main volunteers who were mostly unhoused. They became the best crew that I could have asked for, and we thanked them by paying them, and they would go spend those Niles bucks in town. All the businesses honored them. Dorothy helped see that through. We also had a plaza that was built, and we started putting on concerts. So underneath the umbrella of the Golden Spike, which is under the theater umbrella, concerts came to the plaza through the city, to the theater, and then to me to be able to create the series. And we also put troubadours on the trains. I was called the Train Troubadour Program. They also played on the sidewalks during holidays, and it was a blossoming of things for 6 or 7 years that I'll always be proud of, and I will always remember Dorothy as a wonderful partner, and well, you know, true to the end, hardworking, lovely Dorothy Bradley. So with that, I'm going to sing you a song I wrote called "I Shot Broncho Billy." And as you know, Broncho Billy made a lot of films here. Couldn't stand how bad our baseball team was when he got to town. So he made it a company team, and he stole ball players from other towns and put them to work in the movie business. One of those guys was an infielder named Raleigh Tothero. Raleigh had a good eye and a good arm. My name is Raleigh Tothero. I had quite an eye in the 1910s. I was the star of the San Rafael Colts. I made a living playing ball back then. Yes, I had a knack for the short hop and the fly. I could hit and I could throw. One day I got a telegram from Broncho Billy Anderson. He was a Nickelodeon cowboy hero. And I shot Broncho Billy in the 1910s. I went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens. Broncho Billy said, come play ball for me and help out on the lot, making movies. I said yes, went to work, props and sets and scooping dirt, till one day Billy gave a camera to me. I took stills of the creek and the Niles hills where the stagecoach meets the posse. After that, it was rolling film, 16 frames a second. Bill said, good shooting, man, you got me. And I shot Broncho Billy in the 1910s. I went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens. I shot him up and down this canyon, countless trains and getaways, near disasters, good guys tumbling, just in time to save the day. Ben Turpin, Sloopy Klutz, True Boardman, filling up the scenes. Slippery Slim, Cato and Cassidy, riding through the trees. Spider Roach, Fodder Dolan, all the ball players, sometimes even me. We got our mugs and them old westerns and Snakeville comedies. After 3 years of shooting Broncho Billy, 300 flicks gone by, a little man came to town. He was a tramp and a clown with a waddle. He made you laugh, he made you cry. When the tramp left for Hollywood, I went with him. All in all, a good career. My name is Raleigh Tarthero, and I shot Charlie Chaplin for the next 40 years. I shot Charlie Chaplin in the 1910s and 20s and 30s and 40s. Went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens. I went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens. I'll see you all around town. Rest in peace, Dorothy. We're gonna miss you. Bye-bye.
I believe that is the conclusion of our video portion. So now we're going to get to the real life in-person people. And I wanted to keep it organized because I don't want riots. Okay, so the first I'd like to offer is for anybody associated with our museum, so volunteer or employee, please come up and stand up so I'll point you out. We'll get you in order. So, okay, so let's start with you, Jason. Make sure to introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Jason. Hi. Do I get one of these?
Yes, sure. Go ahead and pull.
Okay. We invest things with significance. So while the whole of creation was turning around her, it made her sheer existence more powerful than Time Lords. I guess you can guess who said this. And gods. In the end, the most important person in the universe was the most ordinary. The 15th Doctor, in case you needed to know which one. Well, I don't think Dorothy was ordinary, but she was a very significant person. I had no idea what I was going to say when I came up here. Oh, yeah, I'm Jason Weiner. I'm a volunteer here at the museum. I've been thinking, the past couple of weeks about things I remember about Dorothy, things of significant, actually. And a couple of, three memories kind of come back to me. One is when I was a fairly new volunteer. I'd been here maybe a couple of years and, helped out in the store and doing tours. And at the end of one of my volunteer shifts, Dorothy pulled me aside and said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a while?" And she just sat me down and very gently, but very clearly and in no uncertain terms, told me everything she had overheard that I had gotten wrong in the tour. But she was very kind about it, and I don't even remember what those mistakes are, but I know I have not made them again. The other thing I remembered was at one of the many silent film festivals up at the Castro, the one that the other organization puts on, not us. But I was just chatting with her between a couple of the films. I don't remember what film we had just watched, but I know it was a boxing picture because she started talking to me about how much she loved that picture, how much she loved boxing pictures, how much she just really loved muscular, sweaty men wearing nothing but shorts and just punching each other. So wherever you are, Dorothy, I hope you get to see a lot of that. And then the third one actually just came to me while I was sitting here and remembering stuff about Dorothy. Again, back to when I was a fairly new volunteer, again, maybe been volunteering here for 1 or 2 years. And it was at the end of one of the Broncho Billy Film Festival weekends. And I was so mostly just an audience member that weekend. I was sitting right here in my normal spot up front. And at the end, like, she brought up everyone who helped make this museum run. And I was still sitting there thinking, like, am I an audience member or am I one of the, as I volunteer a little bit, am I one of the people that helps us run? And she saw me sitting there kind of thinking about whether I should stand up and take a bow with everyone else. And she'd say, "Get up here, Jason, you're one of us too." So she had that power to make you feel, that you're part of something bigger. So thank you, Dorothy.
Oh, all right. Sherlock Holmes. Education never ends, Watson. It is a series of lessons with the greatest for the last. That's from The Adventure of the Red Circle. All right. This is hard. I didn't prepare either. I loved Dorothy. I wouldn't have been here without Dorothy. I have one. Oh, I'm Rhonda. This is my husband, Tony. He will speak right after me. I just have one story and a very belated gift, actually. One of the greatest days that I spent, associated here with the museum was with Dorothy. She and Stuart drove with Tony and I to the San Francisco Silent Film Festival in San Francisco. And Dorothy and I sat in the back seat the whole way and talked about life all the way back and forth, and about our families and about the museum and just things that we loved and that we were interested in, and school, just everything. And it was just wonderful. And one of the stories that she told was one of her favorites. It was about the Golden Gate Bridge and why it was golden and had never been painted whatever color they had intended to paint it. And she lit up when she talked about that bridge. And just a little while after that, I ran into an artist who, I ran into an artist who had gotten pieces of the Golden Gate Bridge in 1993 when they did a renovation. And I bought this for Dorothy. And then I got shy and I never really found the moment to give it to her. And then I was out of time. So I really, really wanted to bring it today, as an offering to Dorothy. And also I wanted to hand it over to Stuart very belatedly, but at least it's here. I love you, Dorothy.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, we got to know Dorothy pretty well, but in a very short time. We only came to the museum after the pandemic. That's when we found out about this place, and we're like, wow, this place seems pretty cool. Let's come here. And a lot of people, and we kept coming back. That's the important part. But a lot of the people here kept us, engaged and happy. But boy, Dorothy was just like just a bright light and really a shining person. And we talked about a bunch of different stuff. I'm going to talk about one thing that I spoke with her about, which is Doctor Who. So I don't know what you guys know. I'm just giving you a quick thing. The show is from the 60s. It got canceled in the 80s. It got restarted again in 2005. It's been running for 20 years. There's been 14 doctors. It's a ton of stuff to know. And so we're talking about it, and this is cool because I have someone to talk to about it. And she's someone to talk about. And she says to me, oh, who's your favorite doctor? And when you talk to people about this stuff, you're just thinking about the current 20 years. So I say, oh, David Tennant, of course. What about you? And she says, oh, Tom Baker. And I'm like, oh, we're going old school. This is way back in the 70s we're talking about. Okay. So luckily I've seen those shows too. So I was like, okay, let's talk about Tom Baker. So pop. And we just had a lot of really fun conversations about some things you didn't really talk about a whole lot around here. So that made her really happy. She had her 80th birthday. We were here. She said no presents, but I'd never gotten her a present before. So I wanted to get her a present. So I'm like, what can I get her that's kind of cool? So the doctor's mortal enemy is the Dalek, a robot brace. And so I got her a Dalek and I gave it to her. I said, happy birthday to you. But I want you to know this is a different type of Dalek. The Daleks are generally silver. This is a gold Dalek. The gold Dalek is the leader of the Daleks. So you should have the gold Dalek. And Stuart, if you ever see the gold Dalek, I hope you remember this. Thank you. And she was awesome. And we hope to continue doing the things that she wanted here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael. And here we go. Knowledge is like money. To be of value, it must circulate. And in circulating, it can increase in quantity and hopefully in value. Louis L'Amour. Thank you, Louis. Okay, I first walked in here 20 years ago, and I liked what I saw, and I said, okay, I'd like to be a volunteer. So Dorothy took me under her wing, and the first task she gave me was maintaining the database of people that we, at the time, mailed our movie schedules out to. So she showed me how to maintain the database and how to work the program that would print out the mailing labels for it and everything. And I was a hardware technician for the phone company. I didn't know anything about databases and spreadsheets and all that. I was pretty ignorant. And she would just calmly answer every dumb question I had until I finally had it down. And she was great. And, if it hadn't been for her, I might have just done that for a little bit and then moved on. But I wanted to do that for her. And she would give me more tasks in the future. And I was glad to have them. And so I think if it hadn't been for Dorothy, I wouldn't be here now. So thank you, Dorothy. I love you.
Sticking together. I'm Bob Garfinkel. I'm former vice president and membership chair of the museum. You don't have to burn, I write books. You don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. Just get people to stop reading them. Ray Bradbury. Yeah, I write astronomy books. Anyway, I have to go back in my own history to begin with. I have a history degree from Cal State Hayward, and my professor was making silent films. He would get film from the Library of Congress from World War I, and he showed the battleship Potemkin, and I was hooked on silent films. Around 2008, I heard about this museum. My wife, Kathy, sitting down here, we started coming Saturday nights. And I made the mistake of talking to Dorothy one night that I was former mayor and council member of City of Union City. And I said, oh, how would you like to be on a board of directors? We had a very small group of people then. We just barely were able to fill offices. And all of a sudden, I was membership chair, which I served for about 10 years. And when Zach was vice president, he wanted to resign and do other things. Dorothy put me in as vice president. She asked me, you couldn't say no to Dorothy. So we go back, Kathy and I, back to about 1907 or 8, I guess it was, when I first heard about the museum. And we still are very active. We've seen the group grow. We've seen the building. We've been working, repairing stuff where the white boards over there used to be a roll-up door that the museum we got rid of just as COVID was hitting. So we've done a lot of work in doing this, but it's all because of Dorothy, and we appreciate all that she did. Thank you.
The saddest aspect of life right now is that science fiction gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Isaac Asimov. Okay, my name is Kathy Toronto, and my involvement with the museum kind of happened gradually over a few years. I've been associated with it for almost 9 years now. And it started with me coming here to see a movie, and I thought, wow, this place is pretty cool. And then I spent a while trying to find out how I could volunteer, and I didn't get anywhere. I've heard that story before. Doesn't happen anymore. Now we're quick to grab those volunteers as fast as we can. But 2 stories, and before I get to Dorothy, I just have 2 quick stories about Michael Bonham. Is he still around here? Did he go out in the front? Okay. Anyway, so Michael, when I did finally connect and he said, okay, what can you do? To volunteer. And I said, oh, I know high tech. I can do spreadsheets and data and inventory and all that. And he said, have you ever done retail? And I said, no. He said, good, we'll put you in the gift shop. So, and believe me, the Wi-Fi wasn't working very well in those days. So anyway, so I did the gift shop, and I kept listening to the tours that were given. And so then I thought, oh, this is pretty interesting, learning all the time, reading David's book. And so I became a docent as well. So my, involvement up and up. And then I did have several encounters with Dorothy. And at the time, she and Michael were doing all the group tours, and she invited me to come to one of the group tours they were doing. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, spreading this information to new crowds and new people. Dorothy did all the historical stuff, Niles and the railway and early film, and then Michael would pick it up. And I was kind of hesitant about taking over anything like that because Michael said, you should come and do the tours too. But, Dorothy was fine with it. I think she was plenty busy with so many other things. So I started doing the group tours and now in charge of it and happily extending all the knowledge and love that Dorothy had for the history of not only this organization, the Broncho Billy films and Charlie Chaplin's involvement here in Niles, but spreading it to even kindergartners and senior folks and recreation departments. And it's really, really rewarding to share that, love of the silent genre with so many people and see even little kids just rolling in the aisles laughing at the humor that's over 100 years old. So I thank Dorothy. I was always amazed at her dedication and, just her love of this genre and this museum in particular. And so thank you, Dorothy. Thank you for extending your generosity to not only myself, but, to this museum. And we will always miss you.
All right. And now we're going to hear from some of our pianists. We're very fortunate to have some amazing performers who play here on Saturday nights. And so one of them is Greg Pane. Come on up.
Hello there. Hi, my name is Greg Pane. I'm one of the many pianists that have played here. And one of the things I really appreciate the most about Dorothy is that she managed to pick pianists that we don't have anything alike from one to the next. And I think that's actually an outstanding trait in her, is that she could, I don't, you're going to bust up when you hear how I started to play here. It's kind of comical. I'll read this thing first. I am and always will be the optimist, the hoper of far-flung hopes and the dreamer of improbable dreams. 11th Doctor Who, but that is I think one of the best sayings I've heard. And it fits Dorothy. I don't know if people would call me that all the time. I tend to be one of these realists that always tell things like they are too much. How I got to playing here, and of all the people to never hear this, was Dorothy. And I kind of, okay, Dorothy, please, if you're listen to this, because it was so interesting how I got to play here. They were building this big mega church out in Livermore. It's called Cornerstone in 2004. And it opened up that fall, and it had this huge 200 person, at least about 200 people were going, singles group. They single, have been perennially, single. So I went to it, and I saw 5 months later, January 05, they're doing a trip down to the silent movies. And we're going to meet as a group in the parking lot and carpool over to Niles Canyon. Okay, cool. I go there, to my dismay. It was the only lady I didn't really like in the group, and she was the only one that showed up besides me. And so I got out of that. I really didn't want to ride in the car over there. But this is a little side. How did that relate to that? Well, I called up Niles because I was attracted to movie music my whole life. Since age 5, I've been playing movie music. And I said, I could do this. I know I could do this. So I auditioned for Dorothy. Within a week, she had me, it seemed like it was a blink of an eye. The very next Saturday, I was here on the afternoon, and I was literally, she put a Broncho Billy film on and maybe another film, and she made an instant decision. I said, wow, that's pretty fast, but musicians don't get gigs that easy, trust me. And here I've been, it's the longest standing one I've ever had, and I'm so appreciative of her. I just, the talks that when she was sitting in the back, when she was relinquishing some of her duties and stepping back and having it run, they were more valuable even now, obviously, that I mean, we would talk about, she was one of the people I could talk about the weather to. I'm an intense interest in weather, and I would bore you to death with all the statistics of the area. She would listen to that, and I would really appreciate it. But that and so much more. She was usually in a way different plane than I was as far as all the knowledge of the film, and I would listen to her, and I go, I hope she doesn't notice how stupid I am, because I'm really not there as far as, but I really, I can't say, and I can't, there's not enough time. And I get emotional at times about this, because I'm realizing the intense effect she had, not just my life, but so many people's lives. So, anyway, I don't want to do it now, but when we're breaking at the end, I noticed in one of the videos that one of the films that attracted her was A Thief of Baghdad. Of all the movies, I've only written, I've played to a lot of movies, but there's only 4 or 5 that I've written actual theme songs to, Broncho Billy being one of them. But The Thief of Baghdad was mentioned. And so I had a little connection with Dorothy that night. And I don't think this was an accident, that's one of the few films that I have a fully developed theme song to, and I play it everywhere. I mean, you actually heard a little bit of it, as some of you, as you're walking in. So if you don't mind, after the whole program, as people are mingling, you will be hearing some of that. So just as a dedication to Dorothy, not attraction to me. So thank you so much. And sorry for being long-winded.
Thank you. Dr. John Marsalis.
Which one am I taking here? To a great mind, nothing is little, from A Study in Scarlet, Sherlock Holmes, So I've been involved with the museum. My name is John Marsalis. I've been involved with the museum since before there was the museum. I got a call, I think it was about 1998. Bruce Cates, sitting back there, called me up and says, well, we're doing this thing out in Niles. And I'd been to Niles. I knew about the history of Niles. I had a tour here from someone who grew up here in the early 1980s. And I thought, well, okay, that sounds like a fun thing. I said, how much are you paying? So, we don't have any money. I said, well, okay. And I came out, and we weren't here yet. It was in some building down the street, and it was in the daytime, and they'd put black garbage bags on the windows to block out the light. And I played, and I thought, well, okay, this was okay to do once. But the thing about Dorothy, I have to say, is Dorothy could make anybody, as Bob said, you couldn't say no to Dorothy. Dorothy could make anyone do anything and feel good about it. You could crawl over broken glass and say, that was invigorating. And so, I think maybe for the next year or so, they called me for Broncho Billy. And I mean, I've played at Library of Congress and George Eastman House, and I played the San Francisco Film Festival, San Francisco Sound Film Festival. And I said, you guys don't have any money. And I don't remember how she did it, but Dorothy said, no, we'd really like to get you to come back here. And then she said, and by the way, I understand you have a large film collection. I said, well, yes, I do. She said, well, could we run your films too? And I said, I'm guessing you don't want to rent them. You just want to run them. She said, yeah. Well, I don't even remember. It's been 25 years now. I don't remember how she did it, but she got me playing for free and providing films. And in the early days, when their collection was much smaller, like half the films they were running were coming from me. But that was Dorothy. I mean, that was the way she operated. And we had so much in common. It wasn't really mentioned. She and I both worked in the biotechnology industry. I did, early drug development, and she was a clinical trial monitor. She would work on supporting clinical trials. And so we would sort of go off, which pharma companies had we been involved with? As Rena mentioned, Dorothy was a breast cancer survivor. And I think about 6 or 7 years after she had her breast cancer, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And she was incredibly supportive. And she said, if you need anything, let me know. And she said, do you need meals? Well, I live across the bay, and I actually have a wife and kids, and they can take care of that. But thank you. We would get into this. By the way, as a sidebar, David Tennant is the best doctor, and don't blink. But anyway, and then just one more example as others mentioned. Yeah, Greg, don't cut me off, Greg. As was David Keene mentioned early on, David Shepard was one of the early patron saints of the museum. And David said to me, really early on, when we began talking about Niles, David said, they don't always know what they're doing, but they're such nice people. And David ended up donating his film collection here in 2010. It was about 2,000 films he gave here in 2010. And then he was instrumental in getting Murray Glass, who I would call not the most generous human being on the planet, to give his, I think, 7,000 film library to the museum. Well, David Shepard passed away in 2017, and I got a call, and I said, well, we need somebody to assess his film collection because it's going to go to Niles. I said, wait. He already gave his film collection Niles in 2010. No, this is his next film collection. I said, what do you mean his next film collection? So I talked to David's brother, and I said, well, how many films are you talking about? He said, I don't think it's a lot. It's maybe like 100 films or something. And I said, what we can do, David lived up in Hat Creek. He said, we're going to bring it down to a storage locker over on Maui here, and you can come in, do it, probably go through it in an afternoon or two. I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And again, it was for tax purposes because it was going to be donated to the museum here. There were 1,534 films. After he had given his first collection, he accumulated another 1,500 films. And Dorothy said, just take a little longer. And so anyway, so Dorothy just she had this personality. You just couldn't say no to her, and you loved doing stuff to help her out. So Dorothy, I'm sure she's up there now. These pearly gates, we need a new addition here. You guys standing around here, come on, just put them in. And she's getting it done, because that's what Dorothy did. She got stuff done, and you felt good about it. So thank you, Dorothy.
And now we have Bruce Loeb.
Right. Nobody got anywhere in the world by simply being content. And that's from Louis L'Amour. So I'm the same vintage as John here. I think the same year when we had the makeshift theaters in town, and John, me, and I think Bob Vaughn were also responsible for the festival. And it's been a great ride, got to say. And I'm continually just so proud to be part of the museum and to see how much it's developed and to see the community it's created. It's been a blessing for me. Dorothy, I feel like the Old West from her. There's something so solid about her presence, which is a gift, and it feels like it keeps giving. I feel in touch with her spirit, and it's a spiritual resource. And, God bless Dorothy Bradley.
And I had mentioned the information or the remembrances that are behind with the flowers, but I did want to mention that there is an acknowledgement from Cinecon Film Festival, also Cinefest Film Festival, and Stacy Wisnia from the San Francisco Silent Film Festival contacted me earlier saying that she was unfortunately going to be able to miss today, but due to some family things, but she did want to say that she had heartfelt condolences and she'll be missed throughout the silent film community. So I did want to mention that. Also, I do have a communication from John Wright, who is one of our former board members who lives, well, you'll find out. Okay, good morning, Rena, and thanks for reaching out. Yes, I definitely love to participate. Here's a little something. Hello, all, and greetings from Northern Idaho. Upon hearing Dorothy's passing, I was saddened indeed. Dorothy's love for cinema, local history, and the museum was impressive and infectious. Her storytelling, along with a fun wit, made time with her very enriching. She always put a smile on my face. As I've retired and have now moved away from the Bay Area, my interactions with the museum have become far less. A few years back, I had the privilege of delivering materials left to the museum from Larry Tellis, another former board member who lived in Idaho, here in Idaho. Upon arriving in Niles, I soon needed a place to stay, and Dorothy took me in. As I got to know Dorothy and Stuart on a more personal level, I soon experienced that endless sense of warmth and knowledge, a sense that made this trip far more rewarding. It was a 17-hour drive, just to let you know. As I started on my trek northward once again, my soul was soon radiating with the feeling that I'd experienced something truly incredible. Dorothy's infectious spirit had overwhelmed me. Whether talking with museum visitors, school children, cinema enthusiasts, or whoever, Dorothy was phenomenal, and she will be missed. So now we reach out to any museum people, other museums out there, any other museum people that might want to say a word or two? Anyone? Okay, come on up, Al. You want to come? And science fiction community, if you're interested, any other hobbies, we're going to get going.
I'm Al Menard. I'm president of the Mission Peak Heritage Foundation that manages the Shin House. And we've got several of our docents here with us today, and I'm proud to have them here. This is from the fourth Doctor of Doctor Who. There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes. I'm there. I was at the Washington Township Historical Society meeting approximately 30 years ago when Dorothy Bradley came in. She'd be coming in occasionally to talk about history and to listen to our history talks. And she said, you know, I think I'd like to start a silent film museum in Niles. And said, that's a great idea. And she grabbed the ball and ran with it. She ran over some people, but she got a lot of support too. I was on a historical commission for the city, and so there were some permits done and some other things happened, and all this happened because Dorothy was adamant about doing things good for history and for the film museum. And she was always so excited when she went to film festivals, and the Niles SNA Film Museum was recognized for one thing or another, and it always made her feel good. And she's just been a dear friend for over 30 years, and I'll really miss her. Thank you for everyone for coming.
Okay. Yes, please. We do have tight quarters here. Yes.
Yes. All righty. Okay, there's always something to look at if you open your eyes. The Fifth Doctor. That's a great idea. That's a good phrase there. I'm Jeff Stark. I've been fortunate to be Lillian and Dorothy's financial advisor for the last 40 plus years. And I met Lillian actually when I gave a series of seminars, financial planning seminars at Dow Chemical Research Facility in Walnut Creek. And over the years, I could just remember how excited Lillian was when they sold their property up in Antioch and bought that magnificent place down the street here. They told me about it, a charming house, the carriage house attached in the back, or rather in the back. And so when I was able to come down here to look at it, I was really, really impressed. And Lillian introduced me to Dorothy, who's been my client for many years. A couple of funny stories is that we always met at their house. And I was always amazed and admired Dorothy's organization there. And as you probably who've been there, it's just file boxes piled up all over the place. And we had to make room at the table, to talk about her financial situation. And we were always joined by a cat. And the cat would plop down right in front of Dorothy, for pets. I'm an animal lover. We've had a number of pets, number of cats rather, and dogs now over the years. So I didn't mind at all. But he had to keep on moving the cat out. And Stuart would. It was a big gray cat this time. I forget the name of the cat, but what was that? Oh, okay. Anyhow, so it was a very affectionate cat. And I think over the years, as I recall, with Lillian and with Dorothy, the cats actually adopted them. Because I would ask, well, where'd this cat come from? And Dorothy would say, or Lillian would say, it just showed up and one day and we fed it, or it's down the street, but it spends most of its time here. And so they just adopted it. Well, that really shows me what big hearts both Lillian and Dorothy had. And I always admired that. I also admired the conversations that we had. I always told her that we would go over their financial situation, any questions they had, but we spent most of the time talking about her passion, which was the museum here. And there was a lot of development during the last couple of decades there, so there was a lot to talk about. And after our meetings, which that took up most of the meeting, and it was always, I always told her that I enjoyed our conversation because it wasn't just about finances, it's just about a lot of other things. And it was so nice to talk with somebody who was so intelligent about so many different things. And the conversations got real rich, and I always appreciated that very much. So The museum is very fortunate to have a benefactor like Dorothy was and Lillian, and I certainly will miss them as clients. Thank you.
Everything's science fiction until someone makes it science fact. Ray Bradbury. So, hi, I'm Kelsey Camello. I'm president of the Washington Township Museum of Local History. And I would say the number one reason I'm here is because Stuart is one of my close friends. And he is the reason I know Dorothy or knew Dorothy. I'm pretty coherent in writing, but I'm not great with organizing my thoughts in front of a group. So good luck to all of you. You know, the previous speaker mentioned the file boxes, and I think that speaks to Stuart as well. That's a great way of organizing things when you have too many things in your house. You can just label the box with CRAP, ETC, or whatever else fits on that box. Yeah. But you know, I appreciated that every time I saw Dorothy, she just had a big smile. Even if she wasn't feeling really great that day, she'd show up, even if she wasn't feeling great that day. And it might take her a little longer, but she'd get there. She'd sit in her seat. She might take a nap, and that's okay too, because she's still at the table. And the number one thing I appreciated about her was that she brought companionship to my friend Stuart at a time when he really needed it. And she probably did too. So just really thankful for that. It lifted a weight off of my shoulders in a way that, and I mean that in a positive way, just I knew that they had each other and that they were having a lot of fun and using their brains a lot. And she was so intelligent, but she never made me feel like I didn't know what I was talking about, even though that's often what's occurring. So yeah, just glad to have known her. And I know she did so much for so many people. So it's nice to be among all of you today. Thank you.
Okay, if there's anybody else, we're gonna get down to the end here.
Do you want to know what's up ahead? Ask the person coming back. Good afternoon, everyone. I've been in Fremont since I was 9 years old, but I'm in my 30s now, and I feel like I'm finally growing into who I'm meant to be. And a big part of that journey has been Niles. Apparently, Niles and I share the same birthday, April 28th. So, and Mr. Minard, the thing about childishness, if there's anything I've learned in life, it's the fact that there's a difference between childlike innocence and childish. I'm a preschool teacher, and egocentricity is cute on children, but the only way we can sustain legacies is to respect what somebody worked really hard to build to begin with, try to understand it the best we can before we start inputting our own ideas. So it's like, you have to go beyond yourself. Childlike innocence or that wonder leads you to that. And I've always been fascinated by films. And I know American films are inspirations for Indian films and vice versa. I was born in India. So this place is very special to me. And I'm so glad to be a part of. This year alone, I went to the 135th anniversary of my high school, Washington, and I was one of the only ones from my generation there. And it seems to be a repetitive thing. I may be one of the first or trailblazers, but the important thing to remember is that none of us are original on our own, but we all can be authentic when we try to find where we think we're supposed to be. And we can't do that alone. We need the support of people that we consider our family. And elephants are the great recyclers of the planet. And that's my totem animal. So all the maternal love, all the, memories and, retracing our steps and making sure that all that water sources are found by the next people in our herd. All of that is important. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to speak today, because time is short and it all goes in one direction. And if I don't see anybody else again, or whatever happens. It's just nice to know that our connection, however short or long, was genuine. And Miss Dorothy, maybe we met. I'm pretty sure maybe I saw her once or twice during the last couple of years when I've come to silent films, but what she's left behind is a treasure that, yeah, it's unparalleled. Thank you.
Okay. So is there anybody? So we do have a little more. Okay. Come on up. Here we go.
Hello, my name's Yvonne, and I'm also known as Felicity Hart. That's my stage name. And I'm here on behalf of both my club, of which I'm the club secretary. It's the Congressional Gunfighters of America. And I just want to mention that our club president, Eric Lance, wanted to mention that he, really knew Dorothy and how kind she was. And he, for instance, mentioned that she helped, store some of his many things. And, anyways, I also wanted to mention that Dorothy, I guess she had a legacy of, taking care of people when they needed housing. So as someone that participated and was a privilege to be a part of the movie that the Silent Film Museum created, Broncho Billy and the Bandit Secret, we were going, and Rena and a group of people from the museum were going to go down to LA to go, check out this presentation. So I wanted to go, and I kept looking at all the hotels and went, wow, these are really expensive. I don't know. So I decided on a whim, you know what? I'm just going to drive down to LA and, I'll see how it goes. And if I can't find anywhere to stay, well, I'll just drive home, or start driving home and stay somewhere on the way home. Anyways, so who steps in when she finds out that I didn't have anywhere to stay? Yeah. Dorothy said, well, I got a room. I've got, there's two queen beds. And so, yeah, I try to give her some money. Oh, no. So that's my story. Just wanted to mention that how very kind she was. And I guess I have been remiss. I haven't read my little thing. So it has long been an axiom of mine that the little things are indefinitely the most important. A case of identity, Sherlock Holmes. Thanks, everyone.
So I'm going to say this one, which sounds a little silly, but I have never listened to anyone who criticized my taste in space travel, slideshows, or gorillas. When this occurs, I pack up my dinosaurs and leave the room. Ray Bradbury. Now, the reason why I think that's funny is because one of her many things, she also is a big fan of dinosaurs and animation and dinosaurs in animation. And so we got involved with an organization talking about books and films. We did so many different things. I've got a great story, which I will not share tonight because we don't have so much time, about how she convinced Ben Burt to come here and do sound effects for Wings. That's it completely blew me away because I thought there's no way. And she did it. I'm telling you, the lady was amazing. And I'm going to say this in the most loving way. She took in strays, whether they were cats or people, and she valued every single person and what they brought to this earth, because there's no way that someone would be so generous as to take care of so many. And there are a few people in this room that know that if it hadn't been for her, they would have been on the streets. They would have not had the quality of life that they have now. And I'm just so grateful, as we've all said, we're just grateful to have known her. Grateful to have known her. That is quite a legacy. So, yes. So I believe we are now bringing this to a close. We also had a representative from the Nickelodeon group. Is there anybody that has not been recognized for the group that you're part of, that she was part of? I just want to make sure, because I think we've named off just about all. What's that? Cat lovers. Okay, we got cat lovers there. Okay. And So we have some singing that we're going to be doing. So Bruce, are we Bruce and Bethany? We have a special treat you're all going to partake in. Just like they did in the Nickelodeon days. You're going to sing along and you're going to like it. But first let them sing and then you join in. Sure.
So I take responsibility for this. As Rena was asking me if I knew of what kind of music Dorothy liked, and I just happened to be standing in her living room at the time, and there were a lot of cowboy songbooks. Now, a whole bunch of people have said today about how Dorothy got you to do things that you never thought you would do. I'm going to be singing today a cowboy song. And in the spirit of Dorothy, you guys are all going to be singing along with us. So please follow along with the slides and join in. Dorothy would want you to participate.
So I said a few things, but as I was sitting there, I was reflecting about some of the trips that got to go with Dorothy on. And one of them was to the Lone Pine Film Festival. One time we all took a trip down there together and got to march in the parade as Broncho Billy. This is part of the outfit that I wore, and marching down the street. And Dorothy and William, both they just loved that sort of thing. And we all stayed in the same place and had a great time. There was other times we went down to Oklahoma. We were invited to accept an award on behalf of Broncho Billy Anderson because he had no relatives at the time, so they contacted the museum. We got all dressed up. We were riding in limos and meeting movie stars, and it was just, it was a fanciful, fun time we had. Always so many things that we did. And one of the coolest things was when we went and stole Sam Gill out of Los Angeles, brought him up here. And took Dorothy's truck down there, piled high things in a trailer. And it was amazing. And it was all good fun. And going to visit Dinosaur Carrie, baby Peggy. And she was in the movie, The Broncho Billy and the Bandit Secret, and David brilliantly put together and produced and wrote. And get the scroll on me.
I won't. I got you, man.
So one of the things that Dorothy loved was cowboy songs. And when we were down in Lone Pine, there was a guy that showed up and had a big tall hat and stuff. And we all sat down and he played these old cowboy songs. And she just loved that stuff. This might have been one of them. Get the thing ready.
Mm-hmm.
As I was walking the morning for pleasure, spied a cowpuncher riding along. His hat was thrown back and his spurs were jingling. And as he approached, he was singing this song.
Whoopie-tie-yo, get along, little doggies. It's your misfortune and not my own. Whoopie-tie-yo, get along, little doggies. You know that Wyoming will be your new home. It's a whooping and a yelling and a driving doggies. Lord, how I wish we had Dorothy along. It's a whooping and a punching. Go on, you little doggies. If Dorothy were here, she'd be leading this song. Get along, little doggies. It's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-tie-yo. Get along, little doggies. Know that Wyoming, you home.
Some boys, they go off on the trail just for pleasure. It's where they get it most awfully wrong. You haven't a notion that trouble it gets. It takes all our time to keep moving along.
Whoopie-tie-yo. Get along, little doggies. It's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-tie-yo. Get along, little doggies. You know that Wyoming will be your new home. Your mother was raised way down in Texas, where the gems and weeds and the sandburs grow. We'll fill you up on prickly pear and cholla until you are ready for Idaho. Whoopie-tie-yo. Get along, little doggies. It's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-tie-yo. Get along, little doggies. You know that Wyoming will be your new home.
You
Know that the SNA will always be home. Good job, everybody.
That brings back some memories, I'm sure, as a child. Some of you, I'm sure, have enjoyed some of those early Westerns, and Warner Rogers and Dale Evans. I'll never forget, we were in Oklahoma, and I got to meet Ernest Borgnine and Dorothy. She loved Ernest Borgnine, and I was in the room, and she kept wanted me to introduce him to him. Because I didn't know, I was just sitting there because I was going to accept the award, and we were just having beers and talking, and he was so amazing because he was McHale's Davy, Ernest Borgnine, the Western Cowboy and all that. But when he was just talking to me, he was just like you and I, he was just a guy having a good time. And it gave me a great perspective. And I told Dorothy that, and she totally could relate. She did meet him actually. And we met, and I tell you, with Dorothy, we were sitting at a table. It was late after the whole thing was over. In the lobby. You were there, David, right? And along comes Maureen O'Hara and Tom Selleck, who sat at our table actually, but we were in this. And we all get in the elevator together. And Maureen O'Hara's having a few drinks, and she looked up and she goes, "You sure did a nice job, you big handsome boy," and all that kind of thing. Great times we had. So I guess this is it, huh?
This is it.
She had so much to do with a lot of you that are here, obviously. And her spirit will last for a long, long time here. What she set in motion, is going to live on you there. So let's say goodbye, Bill.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sun around.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.
So trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way you ride the trail that counts, is a happy one for you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds and stormy weather? Just sing the song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Bye, Dorothy.
For you here. We have some snacks. We also have some goodies for you. So there are mugs that are available. There are bandanas that are available. We'd love for you to take a token of Dorothy's esteem, and Bethany put together the little name things. They're so cute. Oh my gosh. So please, and also outside, out next to the snack bar is the wagon wheel. If you have any memories you'd like to write down about Dorothy, please do. And then there's the quotes. If you want to take any of those quotes home, you're welcome to. So thank you all for coming today.
I was a star of the San Rafael Colts. I made a living playing ball back then. Yes, I had a knack for the short hop and the fly. I could hit and I could throw. One day I got a telegram from Broncho Billy Anderson. He was a Nickelodeon cowboy hero. And I shot Broncho Billy in the 1910s. I went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens. Broncho Billy said, come play ball for me and help out on the lot, making movies. I said yes, went to work, props and sets and scooping dirt, till one day Billy gave a camera to me. I took stills of the creek and the Niles Hills, where the stagecoach meets the posse. After that, it was rolling film, 16 frames a second. Bill said, good shooting, man, you got me. And I shot Broncho Billy in the 1910s. I went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens. I shot him up and down this canyon, countless trains and getaways, near disasters, good guys tumbling, just in time to save the day. Ben Turpin, Sloopy Klutz, True Boardman, filling up the scenes. Slippery Slim, Cato and Cassidy, riding through the trees. Spider Roach, Fodder Dolan, all the ball players, sometimes even me. We got our mugs and them old westerns and Snakeville comedies. After 3 years of shooting Broncho Billy, 300 flicks gone by, a little man came to town. He was a tramp and a clown with a waddle. He made you laugh, he made you cry. When the tramp left for Hollywood, I went with him. All in all, a good career. My name is Raleigh Totherow. and I shot Charlie Chaplin for the next 40 years. I shot Charlie Chaplin in the 1910s and 20s and 30s and 40s. Went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens. I went from playing ball to catching it all. I was the man behind the lens.
Now, I want to introduce to you a woman who, along with her committee, has led the efforts in making this weekend's festivities a smashing success. Please welcome Dorothy Bradley.
Well, thank you all so much for coming, and this is certainly not a one-person effort. It's really the efforts of everybody on the committee, and our committee includes David Keane, who's also working on a book and doing a lot of research on the SNA studios, Bruce Cates, who's one of the main driving forces. Stand up, wave your hands, whatever, when I read your names. Yeah, he's Broncho Billy. Karen that does a little of everything for us. Larry Tellis, artist extraordinaire, who's been a fan of Western films for a long time, but is also the artist responsible for our commemorative stamp cancellation and has done all the layout for our program. And Irene Vincent Perez, who's helped us much with handling all the telephones and doing press and all sorts of other good stuff, and generally being den mother to us. And Luis Gomez, aka Charlie. And Jerry Smith, who's helped us out a lot with doing web work. Mike Snyder, Joelle Sorensen, who is our technical whiz and is on tape, Dorothy Nesbitt, the head of the director of Main Street, and one other person that helps us out a lot is David Shepard, and as one of the major suppliers of our films. And just to let you folks know very briefly, we are a nonprofit organization. Our long-term goal is to bring alive the history of Niles, especially as it relates to film. And what we are ultimately striving for is to have a museum in the local area that's dedicated to the film history of Niles, and possibly also in the same facility, a place to show silent movies on a more regular basis, rather than once a year at our film festival. So those are really our long-term goals, and we appreciate everybody supporting our projects. Thank you.
Well, as Bruce kind of mentioned, 9 years ago when we first started this, none of us had done a film festival before. And we were all rank amateurs at it. And over these past 9 years, David Shepard has been a major mentor to me in terms of learning how to plan a film festival, run one, think about the films, and I still use him today every film festival before the program's published. I always have him review it because he sees things in it that I don't. And for 9 and hopefully many, many more years, thank you so much, David.
You know, we have a lot of wonderful volunteers that work here, and I mean work. This is a full-time job for a lot of us, besides our other jobs and things that we do in our lives. So one of our best volunteers over the past 10 years now. She's been helping out and doing things beyond belief over and over. And, and there's the duty of being a president of an organization is a wide-ranging. You have to be a diplomat at times, and sometimes you have to be stern. Hold people to the mat. And I'm sure she's ready to get the hook for me right now, get me down from here. Let's welcome Dorothy Bradley.
Well, thank you all for coming. It's amazing when I look back at where we were 10 years ago. And our goal was to have a museum. We leased the building, we don't own it, so we still have a ways to go. But when this building came up for lease, we figured what more appropriate home could we have? And we were very fortunate that we've got it. And we're sure having a ball with it. But as with anything, it takes a lot of work, so I do have my Academy Award speech of thank yous. Script, please. First thing I have to do is thank all the archives that have really made this special film festival possible, because we have gotten films from archives all over the world. And if you actually looked in our archive room, we have a floor-to-ceiling pile of Broncho Billy films, or SNA films, probably one of the largest collections of SNA films in one place at one time. But we like to definitely go to all the archives that have made this happen. The second group of people that have really made this happen is the board. So I'd like everybody who's on the board to come on up and please thank them, because it isn't me, it's everybody that's doing this. Projection booth. It's a little hard sometimes to pry him out there. And Matt Tudor's up there too, yeah. So without them, none of this would get done. We also would like to thank all of our members and sponsors as well. Last thing I'd like to do is we'd like to show you our most recent acquisition. Is to add this to our collection on display. So that's one of our next projects, is working on expanding the number of posters that we actually have on display. So with that, I think I'd like to turn the program back over to Bruce. And shall we roll it up here? Let me hang over this. No film festival can happen without sponsorships. And this year we'd really like to thank Leonard and Deborah Stevens, and the Fremont Bank and the Fremont Bank Foundation and Brian Hughes for all of their support in making this whole film festival possible. Then the other folks that make this festival very possible are all the archives who have most graciously allowed us to bring these films here and show them to you. Because without the archives, we wouldn't have these films for the projectionists to show. And tonight, and over the course of this whole weekend, you're going to be seeing films from the Library of Congress, George Eastman House, the Film and Television Archives at UCLA, the British Film Institute, and Film Preservation Associates. And we should give them a big round of applause for all the work they do. And Mike mentioned our Hubbard Award. For those of you who don't know Ray Hubbard, he was a news cameraman and worked for many years at KPIX in San Francisco. But he actually started back in, or he was actually in Boston as well. But while he was out here, he made some very wonderful documentary films. Of course, the one we really like is When the Movies Came from Niles. But he also did some very other fine documentaries on the building of the Golden Gate Bridge, the women's suffragettes, and another one that's very interesting, The Innocent Fair. And it was through his film that they were actually able to save the Palace of Fine Arts, because that documentary raised the awareness of the history of the Palace of Fine Arts and the 1915 Pan American Exposition. So he has done many, many wonderful films. Unfortunately, a lot of them are not that readily available. And he passed away in 1999. Actually, if you would like to see one of the families, a very recent donation that just came in the mail yesterday, there's some lovely little advertising pennants in our newest acquisitions case, just to the right inside our gallery area. Check those out, and you can see some very interesting little advertising pennants from that period. And as I mentioned, we have the award every year. And what I'd like to do is to just let you know who our previous winners were. The first year we awarded it was in the year 2000, and that was True Boardman, who unfortunately is no longer with us. In 2001, it was Jack Totherow, who is son of Raleigh Totherow, very well-known cameraman in the area of the period, and it actually got his start right here at Niles. And Les Thompson, again, a retired cameraman who's done many great things, worked on the Disney's Mickey Mouse Club, and has done a whole series of documentaries and other news work. And the 2002 was Dorothy Bradley and Diana Carey, who's with us tonight. Diana. In 2003 was Sam Gill. 2004 were Irene Vincent Perez and David Keene. 2005 we did 2006 was David Shepard and Chris Snowden. Last year was Leonard and Deborah Stevens. And this year, we'd like to give this year's award to John Marsalis. John has been doing silent film accompaniment for over 30 years. First started when he was in college, and you could hear him not only here at our theater on a regular basis, but he's also recorded numerous scores for Kino Video and other DVD releases. So his wonderful scores are also available on DVD. And he's done such wonderful films as Mark of Zorro, Don Q, Son of Zorro, Thief of Baghdad, which was one of my first silent films that I first saw years ago, and many other wonderful films. And the other thing is that he has a totally different career outside of film music. He is a toxicologist and works at the SRI International over in Menlo Park. And among other things that he also does for us is he has his own collection of wonderful films, which many of you who come here on a regular basis see all these beautiful prints. A number of them are from John's collection, and his support of loaning us films has really been tremendous. So John, thank you for all the work
Yes, I think that one can just go in.
Okay.
And these two can just go in. But this one is a different matter.
Do you want to open that one?
Yeah, well, see, this is all.
Oh, that one definitely needs to be open.
Yeah.
That one was kind of wet.
It's quite wet. Just stack the films.
I think that would be a good idea. Just take a bunch out and just go
Yeah.
up the steps right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is wet. It actually got it in here. These are
damn. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Spread them out. Okay.
Spread them out. We need to. Yeah.
Okay.
But those should be okay.
We'll
to
leave
go.
this box behind so that when you want to look again, you just put these that are
what
wet.
box it is?
Yeah.
This has probably been
We documented it, yeah, so you can take those, put it in there, you know where in your notes those films are. So we'll just keep
Okay,
it
yeah, just.
See, here I am shooting the guys lounging idly in the truck, and the guy is killing himself in the foreground here, stacking boxes. I don't film him.
I think we got all space filled with that brim on that one.
All right.
There we go.
This has got a 2x zoom on it, but I'm told you're not supposed to use it.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the best motion picture I've made today.